Alrighty, so we're a minute or two past the hour now, so we can go ahead and get started. Just try to stay on track, stay on time. My name is Rob Schuler. I'm marketing manager over here at CableFinder. I'm joined by Jasmine Pizarro and Taylor Brown. Thank you for attending our deep dive today. Taylor will be running through everything with us today, and so I will go ahead and hand it off to her. But before I do so, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A section. It should be, excuse me, at the bottom of your window. We might not be able to get to them right away, but we will stop for Q&A throughout the session. So Taylor, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Taylor Brown. I'm the Senior Account Manager and Brand Ambassador here at CableFinder. And so I really just help the TSDs to help drive awareness and adoption to the tool and help partners become a little more self-sufficient. So I just have a couple of slides to go through, and then we'll go through a live demo. So looking here, these are the suppliers that we have in, oh, sorry, I'm losing that much. These are the suppliers that we have in CableFinder. So any orange check mark is going to be API-driven information, meaning we're calling the carrier directly to either return back serviceability, pricing, and even place orders for some of the carriers. And then the black check marks are flat files or no APIs available. So they're either sending us a lit building list or a rate card, and then we are manually going in and updating the platform from there. Our end goal is to get further along with each supplier to go through order placement and order updates. So stay tuned for that. And we are, definitely looking to add in more suppliers down the road as well. And then some of these might depend on your TSD. So for the most part, I would say most TSDs have most suppliers. You might see some where they might not have, for example, like Starlink through Pulsar, and that's typically just because that particular TSD does not have a direct contract with this supplier. So that's why you might see some carriers and some instances of CableFinder, and some you won't, depending on which TSD you're using. And how you access CableFinder, you do have to run it through a TSD. So we're currently licensed with AppDirect, Avant, Intelisys, Innovative Business Solutions, and Teleris. So if you don't yet have access to the tool, reach out to your channel manager at one of those TSDs, and they can let you know how you can get access. Oftentimes, it's just a single sign-on through their like their back office tool, just typically a CableFinder tile or button, and that will take you into the system. So most cases, you don't need another set of credentials into the tool. I'm just looking at kind of life before CableFinder. These are just some of the carriers that we have in the tool and all of the different portals and systems and documents that were needed to either check serviceability, price, contract, order. And with CableFinder, we have been able to consolidate that into one system. So you can pull pricing and promotions. We've seen a decrease in order rejections. You can place your orders. We're also integrated with DocuSign. For some TSDs, we have a CRM order integration, meaning anything you're doing in CableFinder is automatically building that in the TSD CRM. Again, we only have that available with some TSDs, but we are working on that further integration with more as well. And also launch site surveys, generate contracts, and then obviously just the speed to order. I like to say you can place your orders as fast as you can type, because no one really has to go back and pivot some of those orders into a different system. You're able to be self-sufficient and place your orders in real time for those select carriers, but I'll walk you through kind of what the process looks like for those carriers that we don't have the full order placement integration. And then just looking at one specific example, this is for Spectrum. For their coax products, we do have the full order placement. So meaning we're calling their API to return back serviceability and pricing. And because they don't have paperwork, you can place their order directly into their buy flow. So this is just kind of looking back as to what that experience used to look like. It is intentional to look a little overwhelming and lots of waiting time, because it was. kind of that case to where you had to log into several different systems, send an email, wait to hear back, and then you're ready to place order, and someone else would have to key that in. Now with CableFinder, you can be self-sufficient to log in, check serviceability, pull pricing, place the order, and that automates directly into Spectrum SpyFlow. TSD is copied on the order itself, so they're notified of the order. Your sales ID is automatically tagged, and then you're getting those order placement notifications immediately. One coming from CableFinder, letting you know that you did place the order. Here's all the information you entered, and then you'll get another one directly from Spectrum immediately. They've received the order, and then all of those O2 notifications flow as normal. All right, so I'm going to pause on the releases and the roadmap. I'll come back to that at the end. But from here, I'm just going to walk through a couple different suppliers. I'll go through one supplier that has paperwork and another supplier that does not have paperwork, just to show that experience. So I am just in a generic CableFinder environment. Again, each TSD does have their own version of CableFinder. So if it looks a little different, maybe colors are different, or oftentimes they'll have their own logo up there as well. All right, so I'm just going to start by typing an address right now. We are integrated with Google Places, so you can see as I start to type in, it filters out those addresses for me. Select this first one here, and it does fully format that address for me. As I search here, this is calling the carrier's APIs to return back the serviceability results. So we do have some toggles up here. So if you are just looking for, a specific category, you can toggle those off just to see those specific results. Otherwise, we'll first show dedicated, then your best efforts, and then wireless. So looking at some of the cards here, we'll always show who the provider is, give you that serviceability description, green, yellow, orange, or red. And then you can also hover over this and it will give you that serviceability call out as well. And then here you can see, like, we'll always put green first, then yellow, then orange, then red. We have multiple carriers that are returning green at the same time. We're essentially just going to put the first one for whoever API came back the quickest is really how that is prioritized. Otherwise, you can go into configure pricing as long as we have their pricing and products listed in CableFinder. Some carriers do only have that qualification step. In that case, you would see a request pricing. This would just take you to a form. You could fill it out, add in any notes, and then when you submit that, that goes off to your TSD, and then they can find those pricing solutions for you. You'll also see that similar request pricing if the address were to come back red. So we don't allow anyone to configure pricing if that address is red. You'll just have to work with your TSD or the carrier directly if you do truly need to order at that address for that carrier. Otherwise, we'll show the anticipated time frame to install, the distance if it's available, max speeds, and then any product. So this information may change depending on the carrier and their card. So this one here, it's showing their products available. Comcast provides us with a minimum MRC estimate. Same thing here, you'll see their fixed wireless spectrum. You'll see which building type it is, if it's auto build, near net, anything like that. Very similar results here for our best efforts. And then as if I were to search a different address that pulls up completely different carriers, you'll get a very similar experience. All right, so here I'm going to go into a Lumen example. We did just launch Brightspeed and Lumen in the tool, so it is full order placement, and it's a very similar process. So in these cases, they do have paperwork, and so I'll go through what you do with your paperwork, regardless if we have full order integration or not. It's just kind of creating that consistent user experience for you. So here I can select my term. It is defaulting to that 3-year. Once I toggle on my fiber, then I can add on my internet speed. Lumen specifically has it broken out by 3 different speed categories: Gig E, Fast E, and 10 Gig E. Once I toggle on my speed I'm looking for, I can then make any changes. So if I want to change it to a different speed, add on a managed router, select a billing option, all of that. It will update that shopping cart in real time. Again, we're calling their API for pricing, so that's why you see that little load sign each time, because it is calling their API and returning back those results. All right, so here I'll go in to generate my contract. You'll be required to list the business name and the quote. We do have a quotes and contracts library. You can access these at any time. So be specific so that if you do need to go back in, you can find that exact one. You can see here I have a lot of test examples in here. So this is our customer profile feature. So if you did create that initial record one time, it will save all of that customer information into the system, so that if you have to go back in and maybe place a second order for the same customer, or maybe you have to just recreate the paperwork, once you create that initial record, you can just select them from that drop down, and then it will fill in most of the information, depending on the carrier. And some information we're not saving, like the social security number or a tax ID. We don't save that information, so that's some of the details that you might have to enter each time. Otherwise, it is just asking for some general customer information. You'll see this is a very standardized process, regardless of which carrier you're quoting or ordering. We've tried to create a very consistent experience so that you don't have to learn all of these different carriers. Some of the information might vary depending on the carrier and what they need to place the order, but we've tried to make it very simple just to navigate through this page. And we also have some guardrails up. So if you forget to fill something out and it is truly a required field, you'll be stopped to enter in that information just to prevent post-sale delays. And then here it already filled out everything for me, but I'll just pretend this is a new customer. It typically would be blank. In that case, if it is all the same, you can use these radio buttons and it will carry down that customer information for you, just less data entry if possible. All right, so then the sales exit criteria here, this is unique to Lumen. And so this is kind of the process where you might see some different information depending on the carrier. If they need like a requested install date or technical, more customer information, anything like that. This is where you start to see that here. So some providers, we do automatically store your sales ID in the tool. Some providers, we don't, so you'll have to enter it if you have it. Obviously, best practice to enter your sales ID if you do, just for commission tracking. If you don't know your sales ID, then that's okay. We do leave it optional. Lumen is able to find that and then get it over to the TSD, so they still can track that. But if you do have it, please enter it. Then the billing account information. So again, this is unique to Lumen here. We're just going to default it to no. We're going to pretend this is a new customer. If it is an existing customer to where you do have that billing account number, you will be able to enter that. Otherwise, with handoff information, I'm just going to keep it as is. We are working currently to default some of those options of what should be selected based on your internet speed, just so you really can't mess up the order. So more to come on that. All right, then this customer location information, I'll just use my radio buttons to carry these down. My delivery date details, I'll just select this date here. Then if you have any delivery instructions, you can enter it here as well. So on my confirmation page, we are integrated with DocuSign, so you can generate a PDF or send it directly from DocuSign. Best practice is to use the DocuSign integration that we have built. It pre-fills out all of those signature fields for you. It CCs you as the CableFinder user. It also lets your TSD know that a contract is going out. Then once the customer signs, you're also notified so that you can come back in and upload that contract for your order submission. So I'm just going to add some order notes in here because this is placing a live order as I'm going through this process. So I'm just going to create a PDF for today just to show you the examples. So here's our contract on Lumen paper, everything they're using internally. Here at the bottom, each carrier on their paperwork will have a CableFinder watermark, so along with this unique quote ID. So if you do need to look up your opportunity in CableFinder, you can do so. by this number here. Then this PCAT ID, this is specific to Lumen. So because, we're calling their API to generate pricing, serviceability, all of that, they need this number here to log the order, or once they receive the order, to match it up into their system. So super important that you're uploading your contract, the same contract that you generated out of CableFinder, to this opportunity. Unfortunately, you cannot, have a Lumen contract that came from somewhere else and upload it into CableFinder. It does have to be the one that was generated out of our platform. All right, so here's our signature field, the sales exit criteria, all that information that they need for the order. Now I'll pretend that I have my signed contract. So what you would do next is you'd come back in here to your searches and quotes menu bar, then this pricing quotes history will take you to your pretty much your quotes dashboard, or if you did also generate a contract. This is where you can search for that CableFinder quote ID. You can also search by customer name, quote name, provider, all of that information. So that's why it's very important to be specific when you are labeling those details. Over here on our actions side, so I can re-download my quote if I need to. I can re-download my unsigned contract. This is where I can upload my signed contract. And so this is your order submission process. And then you also have the option to send with DocuSign. So I did not send it with DocuSign the first time, so that's why it's allowing me to send out a DocuSign here. If you did already send out a DocuSign, you'll see some additional options here. You'll see void document, resend document, and change signer. So if maybe they just didn't receive it, or maybe they, typed their email in wrong, or they need you to change the signer, you have those capabilities now that you can control that. Otherwise, the DocuSign account belongs to the TSD, with the exception of Comcast. So if you are experiencing any actual DocuSign issues or need an update on your DocuSign, you have to work with your TSD to get those updates. Okay, so I'm going to upload my signed contract now. Here's my test. I'll upload. And so this is looking for that CableFinder watermark to match it up to the order. And then it is sending Lumen an email. It will CC you as the CableFinder user and also your TSD so that everyone is aware of the order. And if Lumen needs anything, they'll just respond to that email if any information was missing or if they need any additional clarification. And then that is your order submission. So as you can see, I didn't have to send any emails back and forth, didn't have to wait. Even as I'm talking through this, it took me just a few minutes to enter in this order, upload my contract, and it placed my order. So it really is that easy. I've refreshed my page here. I can see my order status of orders submitted. You also see some other ones like orders submitted to TSD. That typically means we don't have full order integration for that carrier, but same process for you. Upload your signed contract, and all that does is send the email to your TSD, and then they will place that order for you. It's just really the difference in those two steps there. But all right, so actually let me go here to our checkmark grid just to cover contract upload a little bit more. So you always want to upload your contract for any provider that it is uploading paperwork for. And so it does a couple of different things. Even if if we're not actually placing that order, like let's take well, we'll just take Comcast, for example. If we're not placing that order, you can still upload your contract. It sends it off to your TSD. They'll pivot into Comcast Z3 ordering system to place that order for you. Whereas, let's take ACC AIA, it is placing the order. You still upload your contract and it's just placing it with the carrier. Is is kind of the difference. But regardless, always, always, always upload your contract into CableFinder because that's also for some of those TSDs creating that order in the CRM for them. So if you're manually submitting it, they still have to go into their CRM and fill out all of those details. Whereas if you're using CableFinder, we fill all of the automations so that all the APIs are filling in that information for us. So you're really just entering it in real time. Okay, so do we have any questions that have come through before I go down to the next carrier?
Yeah, I don't see any questions so far, but that is a good reminder. For any questions that you have, feel free to throw them in the Q&A section. Should be at the bottom of your window, and we'll try to get to those.
Okay, so now I'm going to go through an example where we don't have to generate any paperwork, but it will still place the order. So I'm going to go through a Spectrum. Sorry, I couldn't remember my address here. Spectrum example. All right, I'm going to choose an address in New York City here. All right, so very similar serviceability results as what we just saw for the last address, just with some different providers here. So I'm going to come down here to my best effort section to configure my pricing. All right, so this sales ID here. So we will already have your Spectrum sales ID loaded into the system. So if you sold Spectrum before, you likely already have one entered in there. If not, reach out to your TSD to get one set up. We'll get your sales ID loaded into CableFinder, and then it will automatically tag your sales ID to your order. So you won't actually even have this drop down. I'm just an admin, that's why I can see it, but you as the actual user, we will have your sales IDs hard coded onto your profile. And then we'll also tag your Spectrum RCM. So in this example, Mark Merritt is the RCM. So then he's also copied on all of the ordering details as you're placing them through CableFinder. All right, so if you've ever used Spectrum by Flow previously, this probably looks a little familiar to where you have to select your commission plan and then also answer if the customer is a bar or restaurant. So it will default to residual. If you do always select upfront, just let us know. We could lock that field for you so that you don't have to remember to always make that selection. From what I've been told, it is hard to get that corrected. So be sure to make that correct commissions plan. All right, and then this other question here is pretty much just asking if it's a bar or restaurant. If yes, you'd have to provide that viewing occupancy. If no, that's where it would continue on to the next step here. Okay, so this is our MDU process. So you'll see for Spectrum Coax and then AT&T ABF and ACC AIA, you have to further qualify that address down to the suite level. So because I'm in New York City, very, very, very long list of suites available. We did add a filter bar so you can filter out some of those addresses. You can also come over here to manual, enter in that manual information. Or we do have a bypass option as well. So if you're just not seeing the suite that you need, you can bypass it, but just note that there will be post-sale validation causing a little bit of delay. So just note that best practice is to always select the suite if you do see it available. Right, so we'll wait for this to load here, and then it will take me to continue to configure my pricing. Okay, so you can build a bundle. If you don't build a bundle, you can see Spectrum graciously has so many packages available, very, very, very long list. So best practice is to, build a bundle so that it will filter out some of those options available. I'm just going to do internet for now. Just so I don't have to port any phone numbers during this demo and all of that here. So still a long list, even with that one speed here, but I'll just select my internet and then it will toggle on everything that is in that package. So if I were to select one with voice, it would toggle on those options for me and actually lock those fields so that you can't change it because it is truly part of a package. And we've got our shopping cart over here giving me all my, non-reoccurring charges, my monthly reoccurring charges. Then you can see here, it looks like there's also a discount being applied. So um, sometimes, depending on the carrier, we'll have promotions or where you can change your installation type, all of that. So just note, as you are changing this installation type, free install typically requires director approval. So just note that, this is primarily just for the quote. So we don't want any users getting confused thinking, oh, they can just choose free install, and then come down to it, they actually can't get a free install. So just note that some of those variances for those providers. If you don't want the promotion, in this case, you can just opt out of it as well. And we do have our broadband fact label listed here. Too. So some of the carriers, you'll see their broadband fact label listed here on the bottom of the screen. Some of them just attach it directly to the contract. So we do have those available though, just kind of in different areas depending on the provider. All right, so now I'm ready to place my order. So you can see here, it just says place order, and that is because there's no paperwork for Spectrum Coax. It's all month to month. So let me just choose a customer profile here so it fills in my information for me. Okay, so here's the general customer information again. You can see, previously I did the Lumen one, now I'm in Spectrum, but it looks very similar, so very consistent user experience for you. All right, it's filling in all of these details for me here. All right, any authorized contacts here. It's kind of pre-filling those in directly from that information that I had entered. I'll just continue through here. All right, my confirmation page. There's no paperwork. You can still add in those order notes. So definitely recommend, like if you did have to bypass, I'm sorry, you did have to bypass the address. I would definitely add those order notes here, or any additional information that you would need the carrier to know. And then I can place order because there's no paperwork. It is now asking me to choose that installation option here. So I can choose mail to home or technician visit. So if you choose the technician visit, you can select your installation date. And this is, directly coming from their API. So if one of these options is truly available, you will get that email notification immediately with that chosen installation date. So super great there. If that installation date didn't end up being available, then you'll just kind of get like a pending and they'll pick a new order date for you. So I'll hit submit here. It's going to ask me one more time to confirm my order. Just make sure everything looks correct. I'm not going to actually do this right now just because I don't want to have to go back in and cancel this order. It will place a live order here for me. But once I were to hit confirm order, that's where that is your order submission. From there, you'll start to get your email notifications, one from CableFinder and one coming directly from Spectrum. Um, that was really it from the two carrier perspectives. Sometimes you'll see a request contract as well. Like in this case, AT&T ADI, we don't yet have that full order placement capability yet. So when you get to that confirmation page, you'll just see request contract. You'll still enter in all those ordering details, and then that just sends it off to your TSD, and then they'll take it from there. They'll either place the order or generate that paperwork for you and send it back to you or the customer for processing. All right, and then looking at our releases and roadmaps here. So I kind of covered those DocuSign enhancements. We also have recently launched Starlink by Pulsar, Brightspeed, and Lumen. Again, it might vary by TSD if they have those providers available. And then coming up on our roadmap here, so Cox CFI, their shared fiber, we've been working on that one, so we're kind of in the testing stages to get that one launched. And then our rate card quote, we're super excited for that. We've got feedback from users that they would like to see a rate card option. So you can just go in by address, generate a rate card and send that off to your customers. So we are in the final stages of getting that one ready to go out. So you'll see it here sooner than later. Same with the redesign of our quote. We're just kind of giving it a whole new look so that when you send it out to customers, it just looks a little more updated than the current one that we have. Add to quote is another quoting feature we're adding today. CableFinder is just a very singular experience, meaning you search one address, you can quote one speed, one term, all of that. And then each change you have to make, you kind of have to go through that same process. So with this add to quote feature, we are enabling users to, for that same address, you can generate multiple quotes for, if you need to change the speed, the terms, add a static IP, add phone, no phone, all of that. Each change you're making, you can kind of save that record. And then at the end, you'll be able to export all of those quotes into one PDF to send off to the customer. So that one we're still working through. So you'll definitely see the rate card quote and the redesign of the quote to come out first before we see that add to quote feature. As far as um, quoting multi-sites. We have gotten that feedback. It's not currently available in the tool. It definitely is on our roadmap a little bit further down the road. So just note that we have received that feedback. It is something that we would like to get to in the future. And then the pricing quotes history page. So looking at our pricing quotes page, all of these different options here. We are giving this page a whole new redesign as well. We are realizing, as we're onboarding all these different suppliers and, with Comcast, you can go this far, and Lumen, you can place your order, and Dobson's only serviceability. It is getting a little confusing to kind of track, how far you can take it with each carrier, and have you completed your process, or do you still have next steps to actually submit your order? So you'll soon be able to see all of that implemented here on this page. We're hoping to even add like order updates, so you can just kind of, instead of sending an email, you can click, where's my order? And then that will, kick off a notice to either the carrier or the TSD. We do have order updates coming over already from AT&T and ACC. So you'll actually be able to see here on order status, order submitted, you'll see pending, canceled, installed. So that is our end goal with all of the other carriers. AT&T was just the first one to get some of those order statuses in here. Status tracker, I already talked about that. And then AT&T ADI ordering, as I mentioned today, it is just a contract request, but we are working through that full order placement option. And then wrapping up here, so resources, we do have user guides available on our website, so just cablefinder.net. We have user guides for each provider, so if you need to walk through an example of Zayo, for example, we'll have that in there. Same with that supplier checkmark grid. If you ever need access to that, we have that listed on our website as well. And then LinkedIn, if you're not following us, give us a follow, because that is where we post, any new feature releases, provider and, new providers we're onboarding into the tool, contests that are available. So that is all posted on our LinkedIn. As a CableFinder user, you're also going to receive our monthly newsletter, where we also have that information available. And then if you are seeing any discrepancies, or maybe you're getting an error message in the tool, or pricing doesn't look quite right, we do have a support distro, so support@cablefinder.net. We have a dedicated support team that will help troubleshoot any issues that you're having. But if you're just looking for, general questions or just additional trainings, reach out to myself or Jasmine, and we'd be happy to walk you through those, a more deep dive into the platform as well. All right, I think that was all I had. Did we have any additional questions that came in?
No, it doesn't look like we have any more questions, but of course, as Taylor just mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at support@cablefinder.net, or reach out to Taylor or Jasmine directly if there's anything a little bit more involved. That being said, we do really appreciate your attendance today. We know that this is a very busy time of year with kids starting to go back to school, or maybe you're wrapping up some of your last summer plans. And so thank you so much for being able to join us today. And yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your week. And as I've mentioned, if you have any sort of questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to us. But if not, we'll let you guys get about 10 minutes back in your day. So thanks for coming by.
Thank you. Bye bye.